Just, yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Stephan Hovnanian. Welcome to Google Plus Business Spotlight, a show where we talk about how real businesses are using Google Plus. And today we've got my co-host Ben, but also partner in crime because we're talking about Steady Demand, Ben's company, of which I am a part, and also Dustin Stout, another amazing guy on Google Plus, who is also part of Steady Demand. So we're bringing Steady Demand back 6 months later. That was the whole point of today's show. Talk about kind of where are they now, although you see two of us every week. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to kind of go through the whole thing, talk a little bit about Steady Demand. We have a whole bunch of, we have some really cool ideas that the company has been doing since we last brought them onto the show. We're going to talk about that. And if you stick around till the end, we've got a really cool announcement to make about our upcoming guests, plural, for next week. In the meantime, head over to GPLUSSPOTLIGHT.com, sign up on the email list because we have even more information to give you guys there, and talk about the show using the hashtag GPLUSSPOTLIGHT because you're awesome and you know you want to do that. All right, how's that for an intro? I'm trying to
Everybody,
be better at this.
everybody that's in the audience, they know they're freaking awesome. That's all I
They know
gotta
they're
say.
awesome. That's right.
Yeah.
So how
We
you
got
guys
Todd
doing? Doing
Smith,
all
we
right?
got Mike Alton, we got Roxanne Davenport, we got Lee Rickler, Bill Ashton, Tia Kelly.
Todd Smith is in the audience. What up, Todd?
How's it
Hey,
going, Todd? So yeah, we
Kristen
got a whole bunch of
Kramer,
people hanging out, and then you know what? I mean, I
Marilyn.
will say,
Can't forget Marilyn. Come on, Marilyn's with us as well.
yep, awesome, awesome stuff. I'm waiting for all. I have all these screens going, and none of them are updating. So, well, hey, was it back in December? You came on board. Ben, you and I barely knew each other, but you had just Steady Demand just launched the Pro Tool. We'd been talking about Google Plus strategy a lot, and it seems like a very logical addition to the show to have somebody talk about how brand page managers and company that is fully vested in Google Plus and successful and making people successful on Google Plus, how they use it. So here we are 6 months later. Why don't you take us through the journey?
Oh man, the journey. The journey. It's been a wild ride since day one. We started this company pretty early on in Google Plus's life. I was a beta tester. I think most of us were beta testers actually of Google Plus, and we're helping a lot of companies really just succeed with social SEO and growing their influence, making connections, and really humanizing their businesses. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like my profile picture shows. Well, how do you get ROI out of Google Plus? And that's been our goal, is to show companies that you can use Google Plus and get such a great return on engagement, and more importantly, great return on investment. So, so after we had quite a few clients, we were working with them, came up with our kind of own internal secret sauce that could really be kind of replicated across any kind of niche, multiple indies. And it's 60% powered by engineering and algorithms and utilization of tools and analysis, and 40% powered by humans. And two of those human beings are right here, right now. Well, actually, three. It really started actually just by doing what we do with our clients, which is engaging with people of like mind. And Dustin and I, we talked about it in details on it. Yeah, okay, no, I will. So we were doing the plus one experiments. That's how we ended up meeting. Stephan, I don't even remember when the first time we met. All I remember is that it was a 4-hour marathon conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so to fast forward, right, we had the show about the Pro Tool. You had just launched it, and you were like, hey, you want to come on board, come on to the show, be the second one? I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it. And it was a great show. It was awesome. And it had a return on investment. We actually had people sign up after watching the show, which just hasn't happened on a lot of shows. So that really stuck out of my mind.
Can I interrupt? I think we've had more than one instance on Google Plus Business Spotlight where our audience has walked away with networking connections or potentially new customers. So just want to toss that one out there.
Mm-hmm.
little back
Yeah,
patting going on.
exactly. I mean, that's one of the things I love. That's one of the things I love about with the G Plus Spotlight is that we actually do help people. We help elevate people, and they do business from it. And yeah, so then fast forward, we've just kind of kept on plunking along, and the business kept on growing month over month over month. And you and I have been talking, just almost sometimes we were talking every other day. Same thing with Dustin. And I remember it was we were in a casual conversation one day, and I wasn't even thinking about asking you. I was just like, dude, we need a director of operations, for our company. Do you know anybody who's available? And you were like, well, I am. Exactly.
This is interesting.
And it was even, yeah. And what was even funnier is that, and during that same exact week, Dustin and I were also talking. We're like, hey, dude, we need some more people on our team. And do you know anybody else do you know anybody's available? I mean, I know you got a job, blah blah blah. And Dustin, what was your response?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was something to the effect of, well, I love Google Plus and would love to be on it all day long. So.
So I mean, and here we are now. You've both been with our company now for you're part of the team, actually, not just you're now for what, 2 months, I think, something like that.
Yep.
And
we're even roomies.
Yeah. These two roomed together while we were in Vegas, by the way.
We roomed in Vegas. I was going to do the whole what happens in Vegas thing, but I blew that one, didn't I?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens in Vegas stays on Google Plus.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And it did through a story, actually. A couple Google stories.
So you know what? If we can, let's going back to the whole people connecting with business opportunities here. I want to bring up Tia Kelly's comment. Tia's social media manager for Unbounce, a landing page optimization company. She was on our show a couple of months ago, and she says, I can definitely say being on your show is kind of my light bulb moment. Proof Google Plus could be a viable platform for me to invest time in Unbounce. For Unbounce, can't repeat enough how awesome it's been to meet all the people in this community. Obviously, Tia, you know how we feel about you. You're a rock star. Thank you. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And I think Marilyn Moore also said I was one of those people. So this is great. So we've got a show here. We're kind of talking about connecting and doing business together. But you know what? That's the point of the entire. I think that's the point of being on Google Plus for most of us, right? We want to find ways where we can grow our company. And I mean, I know steady demand is sort of integral in doing that for our clients, but even just the rest of us here. Look at this nice little success story we have here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to walk the walk. We can't just talk it. We got to walk the walk. And we can all be talking heads all day long saying, you must be authentic. You must grow your influence. Add value to your posts. Do air quotes when you're in a hangout, by the way. We can do that all day long, and we can try, to fake it till you make it. But the whole other part of that story is what happens when you actually do it, and that's what we do for ourselves, and that's what we do for our clients. Is we just do it, and sometimes people don't have enough time to do it.
And that's when steady demand comes on board, right?
Because we knew exactly. But we knew that companies didn't have the time to write content, engage all the time, maybe don't have the skills to be engaging, even though, I mean, I'll admit some of our customers are freaking awesome when it comes to engaging, and that's great. You know,
Yeah.
but
Just don't
that's
have human resources too. I mean, there's a lot of startups who just don't have time to have the people who can, they're already doing awesome things in other areas.
exactly. So we let companies really focus on their strength, they focus on their business, and then what we do just complements and accelerates their growth. But yeah, anyway, back to where we're at today.
Well, it's an interesting question though, and I guess Dustin could probably answer this one really well. So you have this issue of asking people to outsource part of their social media, right? And now does that make things less authentic? Does it make you got to walk a line, right? So let's talk a little, because I think that's a good takeaway for anybody watching here, right? There is a line that you need to walk. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at it like this: if I were X corporation and I wanted to embark in the social media realm with my company and start reaching out to customers and generating content, if I'm big enough, if I have enough cash flow and enough room on the roster, I would hire someone. I'd just hire an employee to manage our social media, or I'd hire several employees and one person to manage them. And they would take on the voice of the company. Well, essentially what we do is we are that hired help. We're that hired social media person, but you're not paying us $50,000 to $80,000 a year. We have much more succinct and affordable packages for small to very large size corporations, depending on how much you want to do. And so it's usually just it's an easier, much more focused effort that we do, because we only focus on Google Plus and your website and that whole connection. But we also have that experience. So when you hire someone, it's not likely that you'll find too many people out in the marketplace job hunting who are experienced Google Plus marketers or Google Plus users. There just aren't a whole lot of them out there. But we've dedicated our entire lives these past 3 years to learning Google Plus and to rocking it hard. So so what we do is not different from what any company would do if we didn't exist. They would find someone to hire to basically be their social media PR or their brand voice in social, and we do that. We work very closely with our clients. We spend at least an hour in an opening call just learning about the business, who they are, how they sound, what they want to communicate to their audience, what audience they're looking for. So we spend a lot of time figuring out what their story is so that we can tell it in the most accurate and efficient and effective way possible.
Right. And of course, then we've got the Pro Tool that we have. When we started out the company, we had internal problems that we had to fix. That's where the audit tool came from. So we built the audit tool so we could save ourselves time every time we brought on a new customer. It would take a half an hour to an hour just to audit a website and say, okay, is Relevant Equals Publisher in there? Is the YouTube channel hooked up? Do they have a +1 button? Yes or no? Oh my God, where is it on the page? Because sometimes it could be buried in like some little area corner of the page. So we built the audit tool, and we said, let's give this away for free. There's no reason just to keep it for ourselves. Make it into an education piece. And then we also the Pro Tool for analytics and insights. Our customers wanted to know what was going on. Google was not giving us the data that we needed for it, but all the data was right there in the API. So, well, most of it. And so, we ended up building a Pro Tool, and now everybody that's on Google Plus that wants to have insights and analytics along with education, now they can get it for as low as $12 a month. So it's all about delivering value.
Yeah. So hey, let's let's also talk about this because we promised everybody when we sent out our email, and we put it, I think, in the event, in the event description, that we had an exciting development for Steady Demand that's going to be coming out very, very shortly. And why don't we, and the three of us, were all good ideas are born out of fill in the blank.
Dustin W.
All good ideas come from doing the Dustin. That's all there is to it.
Either that, or alcohol, or coffee, or Vegas.
That's some coffee.
When you stir all those four things together, you end up with the three of us hanging out in a bar, which could be a great start to a joke. But this is serious, folks. We came up with a really great idea to take some of the things that we do for our customers at Steady Demand, and the things that like Ben and I see and Dustin sees too, constantly in the various communities that we manage and run. There's a lot of questions, right, for businesses, and there are a lot of answers that we could provide. So we came up with a way to do that I think is going to be really helpful for a lot of businesses. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. Who wants to kick off the name of the show? We have a new show coming out.
All right, why not? So first of all, morning, Mia, and I did take a drink, by the way. So okay, so I'll lead it off. So basically what we are launching is we're going to be launching a webinar series using the Business Hangouts tool to do, and it's going to be called the Brand Masters Page Clinic. So, Stephan, I'm going to let you go ahead and lead off onto the second part of that.
Okay. Well, so what we're going to do, Brand Masters Page Clinic, the idea being to take different aspects of the different challenges that business owners especially are having with Google+. Some of them could be technical, some of them could be etiquette and strategic, and just once every other week, we'll go in and we'll be able to have a nice little discussion about it, right? So we can give you some of our ideas, but the idea of a clinic is let's talk back and forth, right? So you guys come prepared with some questions and issues, and maybe even a couple of links. We'll see what we can do to help out. We'll talk a little strategy. We can give you some resources, and the idea is to walk away with a hopefully a solution to the problem that we're talking about for that week. And again, do you want to talk about like why we're choosing the format we're choosing to? Because we could do that. Otherwise, we could just say, hey guys, we're doing it in a webinar format. There you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea, definitely. I mean, Stephan, to talk a little bit about why we're using the Business Hangouts. Okay. Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and lead into that? I'm just looking something up while you're talking.
So for the sake of transparency, people think webinars, they think, oh my God, it's such an outdated approach. But one thing that Business Hangouts does, and as an app that sits on top of Hangouts, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, the idea is to create a webinar-esque feel. And if you think about how you register for webinars, you can go from anywhere on the internet. You sign up, and then you go in. There's a registration page. There's a whole bunch of assets that go along with it that don't involve Google+. And then the Hangout itself it just wraps around this big black Hangout screen that we all have when you launch into it. But people can log in and they can watch, and there's a unified chat. They're able to log in using Google+, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think Twitter, and also just name an email. So it's an advantage over a regular webinar platform, which they don't all have that. And the nice thing about that approach is, again, with a dedicated registration page and a little bit more of a branded approach than something that's on Google+ that people might not be comfortable with yet, it gives us an opportunity to reach out beyond this little community that we have here of plussers, and say, okay, hey everybody on LinkedIn, if you're having trouble with figuring out if you should post or share from your business page or your profile page, if you're struggling with something, we're going to talk about it. And this is a really simple way to get to get involved. And because it is set up as a Hangout still, there's replays, and all the fun stuff that we can do afterwards with, repurposing and blog content and all that other stuff. So that's why we're doing it that way. But anybody who's interested, by the way, just keep that in mind, because you won't see like your event pages that, like this one that we have today. We're not going to be doing it that way, because I did that once, and boy, everybody got confused. They're like, "Where's the video? Like, you can't get to it. You got to click over there." So, yeah, we're doing it that way. Sorry.
Yeah, and it should be a lot of fun. I mean, we're going to be bringing people from the audience into the film strip to ask questions. It's going to be almost kind of like a peer learning type of system as well. So somebody might have a question, be like, hey, I'm a plumber. I've been trying to use Google Local and I've been having problems. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about this new fix that was just released the other day. I could fix my local page in 30 seconds. And it's, it comes from the baseline idea of how you see web page clinics. You see them at, events like PubCon, for instance, where somebody will throw the web page up onto the screen and somebody will pick it apart and tell them what they're doing well, what they're doing wrong, and answer a question. So we're going to pick a topic every single week, and, we're not charging for this either, by the way. I mean, that's the other thing. The charge of admission is showing up. That's the charge.
There you go. And also, while we're talking about the idea of page clinics and things like that, I want to give another shout out to Tia, because a big part of how we're structuring this is based off of a case study or a hangout that you guys did over at Unbounce with Conversion XL, to talk about a webinar that you had created, and how it turned into something a lot bigger than you had expected. So I learned from that, just like you guys had a good experience with us. I'm paying it backward there. I'll get that link too, because I tell you what, anybody who's interested in doing something like this, it was a really interesting discussion. So thank you for that. Appreciate it, Tia.
And by the way, hey, we got Christine DeGraff just joined us in the audience. Hey, Christine, how you doing? Fist bump to you. They're like massively waving back and forth at us, me and Christine. So we, just got to do it.
Cool.
So maybe we'll have Christine come on and do a little bit of maybe a circle clinic, something like that. Yeah, because we know Christine.
Like putting somebody on the spot in a hangout.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think, Christine? You up for that? Okay.
Great.
Segue.
Segue. Yeah. Awkward pause. So yeah, that's where we're going, and honestly, a lot of it just grew out of being able to have, I'm trying to bring this full circle here, right? So we're talking about steady demands 6 months ago coming on the show, and look what's happened since, right? These guys, they have gotten I think two of the smartest, most talented people on Google Plus to join their team, right, Dustin?
Martin Shervington joined? Or wait, are we talking about Dennis LaBelle or who? Oh, wait, us?
Well,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
I was going to say those of us without a verified shield, but I can't say that. You have it. I want my shield. Anyway.
I got my shield early on.
Yeah, I know. I'm never going to get one. So if anybody's watching this also in YouTube, Google Plus world, I'd love a shield. Yeah, back to the steady demand, growth, the show, everything that's going on, and now here we are, being able to pay it forward, being able to give back and display that whole thought leadership thing, which is, I think, a natural progression for anybody as they get onto a platform. They feel good about it, they accumulate a lot of great information, make some good relationships, and then they find a way to make it their own, which is really important, because that's how you build trust. So hopefully we'll be able to do that with this new Brandmasters clinic that we're going to have. So if anybody's interested in that, by the way, just drop a comment in the event page. We're still putting all the dates and times and formats together, so this is not going to happen like tomorrow, but it's going to happen real soon. So if anybody's interested, please leave your name and number at the sound of the tone, and we'll get right back to you.
Ding! That's great. And also, I mean, we've got some topics. I mean, I'll give you a sneak peek at a couple of the topics that we've got going on apologize, I got to look up for these. But the first one we're going to do is probably choosing a brand page or a profile. Setting up your first brand page, creating a killer hover card. Wonder who's going to be leading that one, Stefan. Telling a story, filling out how to fill out your profile, how a personal profile interacts with a brand page. Those are just some of the baseline ideas that we have, but they're common questions. And so if anybody has any ideas or things that they would love to talk about, pain points basically that you have, leave those in the comments too. Send us an email, send a private message us, whatever you want. Join our small business community that Stefan has, and drop a comment in there. We're going to be sourcing a lot of material from the G Plus small business community. So
that's what it's there for.
Right.
So go and ask your questions. So I think this is great. We're at the top of the hour. So why don't we? The other thing I said in the beginning, if you remember, was if you stick around to the end, we could tell you about our lineup for next week, because we have quite an amazing lineup of guests, plural. So Ben, why don't you drop the bomb on who's coming to Google Plus Business Spotlight next week?
Oh gosh, next week?
You have to go check Asana.
Yeah, I gotta go check. Next week. Let's see. I'm sorry, you're totally crapping me out here at the moment.
Oh, come on, man. This is
totally crapping me out. No, we've got Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick coming and joining us on the spotlight.
Yep.
What?
On a special Monday edition. It's going to be a special episode Monday night. Well, Monday night for me, afternoon for most of the rest of you guys, because nobody seems to be on the East Coast. So, yeah, Monday, June 9th, we have Peg and Guy come in to talk about, we're going to try and get them to talk about something they haven't talked about on any of the other shows they've been on, because we know they've been making the rounds. But, our show's about Google Plus and business, so maybe we'll stick to that angle. In the meantime, look for the information on that one on definitely from our email list, because that's coming up soon. So we're going to get that info out real fast. And Wednesday, our normal show is with Neil Schaefer.
Yes.
Who is amazing guy, LinkedIn expert, and I'm looking at this one as here's a guy who has an extremely established presence on social media, sort of that group of people that are they're already keynotes, they've already built up their authority, they've planted their flag, and he's amazing at LinkedIn, so he's going to hopefully talk a little bit about bridging that gap. But the other neat thing about him is he's really digging into Google Plus, and I see him more over here than I do on some of the other people sort of in that circle of I don't know, names, whatever you want to call them, people who've kind of made it already and planted their flag. So it'll be great to see his perspective on maybe where the pain points are, or some of the things that we can do to help encourage some of these names to come over to Google Plus, so we don't have to follow them on everywhere else and forget and not see where all of their content is, or not miss their content. That's why I started here. I'm like, I want everybody to come onto Google Plus that I used to follow in Google Reader, so I don't have to go elsewhere. That's what I want.
Hey, so you're saying maybe it was a good idea that Google Reader died?
Well, yeah, but I still need, I had to go over to Feedly in the meantime.
Oh, Feedly's great though.
Yeah, it worked out. Well, it integrates with Sprout Social, so that's what I kind of have it hooked in through there. But, yeah, anyway, so that's what we're doing, guys. So join the email list. You'll get a lot more information about that, gplusspotlight.com. In the meantime, we've beaten this over the head time and time again. Hashtag gplusspotlight if we're going to talk about the show. Thank you guys all for coming, and just kind of sitting through this with us so that we could give you a little recap of where we are, and hopefully the Brandmasters Clinic is going to be really cool for you guys. Again, don't forget to let us know if you have any interest in that, so we can add you to the appropriate circles and follow up. So for Ben, Dustin, myself, any last words, guys?
Have a great Wednesday.
Keep calm and coffee on.
There you go.
There you go,
guys,
Batman.
thank you for joining us on Google Plus Business Spotlight, and we'll see you around.